Hello, everyone. Well, we are going to talk about a very sensitive topic to all the women: sexual health, pelvic and sexual health. Nobody wants to talk about it, but we want to talk about it with Dr. Erin Lush. She is a naturopathic doctor who is in our studio right now, and she specializes in women's issues, including low libido, pelvic, and sexual health. Welcome, Dr. Erin.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. So let's just start with this. This is a sensitive topic, right? For a lot of women, we don't feel comfortable talking about, hey, we have low libido, by the way, or we have low sexual health. So how do you get started? I mean, this is, let's just explain us, what happens when we have all these issues.
Absolutely. So, like you said, it is a more sensitive topic, and it's really interesting because there's so many women out there who are experiencing these issues, but they don't know where to go. They're too embarrassed to talk about it. They don't want to bring it up. And it's something that, for me, I really value it. So I'm putting out that information. And then when they see it, they're like, I saw this and I'm coming to you because I've never seen anybody address it before. And I'm like, well, I'm so happy that I can be that person for you. So encompassing sexual health, pelvic health, basically anything that's going on in your lower pelvis, if it's related to sex, any sexual issues you're having, any issues you're having with like your libido, even any issues you're having with like holding your urine, incontinence, frequency, anything like that. Generally, I can help you with some of it. So that's what I do. That's what I specialize in, and that's what I love, just helping women in that area.
Sure. So let's understand the root cause. And this is just a 15-minute session, not intended as a medical advice here for everyone who's watching.
Yeah.
So just understanding the root cause of what happens with our pelvic health, like what?
Yeah. So pelvic health. So basically, your pelvic floor is generally not something you think about until you know that there's something wrong. And I would say like the typical historical way we've thought about it is after a woman has a baby, then she might have trouble like holding her pee, and it's kind of funny, or like she laughs too hard and she pees a little bit, and that's kind of funny. Like that would be, I would say, like the typical what you think of. But really, your pelvic floor is a full group of muscles that attaches from the front of your pelvis to the back of your pelvis, and it holds all your organs up. So yes, it is responsible for when and how you pee, but also when and how you have a bowel movement, and how you enjoy sex, if it's painful or not. So that's what you're kind of encompassing. And so when it's working great, it's great. And then if any of those things start to come up, that's when you're having some dysfunction. And so generally, I would say like the most common thing people have heard of are Kegels. And have you heard of Kegels before?
Ketos?
Yes.
No,
you've never heard of a Kegel. Okay, that's totally fine. But Kegel is like generally.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay. So they say like a Kegel is, when if you're can't hold your pee or something, you need to do Kegels. You need to strengthen your pelvic floor. I actually disagree with that statement.
Oh.
I think the biggest problem that women today have is we have very, very tight pelvic floors that are weak. So when you think about it, we walk around holding our stomachs in, right? We want to like look good. We hold our stomachs in. We're concerned with that. We're not breathing necessarily into our bellies as much as we should be. And so what that's doing is it's creating our pelvic floor, and it's very tight. It's tight, and it doesn't move the way it's supposed to. And so what we need to do for like pelvic health is we need to get back in touch with that pelvic floor and make it flexible again so that it can contract when we want it to, and it can relax when we want it to. So that's really what we're looking to do with pelvic floor. And a lot of the times that can be done with like questions you're asking them, but it can also require like a vaginal exam just to do a full assessment of the pelvic floor and see how it's functioning.
Mhm. Wow. And so what causes low libido? I mean, is that a cause of menopause when women are reaching menopause, or earlier as well after child? I mean, we women go through so much, right? Childbirth, then menopause, and before that, puberty. So where does this whole thing kind of start going down?
Okay, libido is complicated. Like that can happen at any time, any part of the woman, like being woman, any age, any stage,
Mhm.
basically.
Mhm.
Um, so it's something that you actually need like a full assessment for.
Wow.
So when someone comes into me and they say that they have low libido, I run through a checklist.
Mhm.
And on that checklist, it gets personal. Like I'm gonna ask you very personal questions that you've probably never even thought about or
Mhm.
no one's ever asked you before. And you might think, well, that's a lot, but that actually helps me figure out what's going on, right? So with your libido, there's a few factors that need to be considered.
Mhm.
First, we need to consider your hormonal health. So starting right there, we need to look at, like you said, menopause. So
Mhm.
yes, in menopause,
Mhm.
our estrogen and progesterone levels change,
Yeah.
and that can cause a change in our sex drive. So,
Mhm.
yes, menopause is definitely a cause of libido
Mhm.
changes, absolutely 100%.
Mhm.
Being on birth control
Mhm.
can change our libido.
Mhm.
On birth control, sex hormone binding globulin
Mhm.
gets upregulated.
Mhm.
So we don't have as much free sex hormone floating around in our body. We don't have as much testosterone. And as women, we do have testosterone for our sex drive. Those decrease. That will impact our libido.
Mhm.
We look at your thyroid panel. So if you have any changes in your thyroid health or your thyroid's not optimizing uh, well,
Mhm.
your libido decreases.
Mhm.
We'll look at your cortisol curve and your cortisol response. So that's your stress response. And I mean, especially right now with the pandemic, everyone's stress response is high.
Yeah.
But if you think about what a stress response is, it's only allowing for the optimal necessary functions to happen to survive.
Mhm.
And like, yes, sex is great, but
Mhm.
you don't need sex to survive, right? So cortisol is going to bring that libido down. Even things like insulin regulation, so in like diabetes or even before you get to diabetes, poor diet,
Mhm.
unregulated insulin and glucose curves, that
Mhm.
causes inflammation in the body.
Mhm.
And inflammation can change how your body's responding as well. So, hormones, hormonal concerns, we got to start there. We got to check those off.
Yeah.
Then, after that, we're going to look at your pain. Like, is the reason you have no libido maybe because it's causing you pain?
Mhm.
And why is that? Is the
Mhm.
pain because you have a tight pelvic floor? Do
Mhm.
you maybe have endometriosis or fibroids or cysts?
Mhm.
Those are things that we can address. Have you had sexual trauma in the past that you're still working through and you're scared and you have anxiety?
Mhm.
That's something that needs to be addressed too when we're looking at your libido. And then we're going to look the other thing, right? To want to have sex, you generally need to feel good. You need to
Yeah.
feel good about yourself.
Mhm.
So we're gonna look at how you feel about yourself right now in this moment, and do a full assessment on how you feel about your body, how you
Mhm.
feel about a partner seeing you naked, how you
Mhm.
feel about seeing yourself naked.
Yeah.
There's a ton of research on out there on women with poor body image or poor self-esteem being 30 to 40% less likely to have like a sexual desire. So
Mhm.
that's something that we need to look at. So lots and lots of factors. Like it's not necessarily one quick thing that we do, but we go through all of those.
Mhm.
And that gives me a better idea.
Mhm.
And then even in that, I haven't even talked about like relationship satisfaction. That we address relationship satisfaction. If you like your partner, do you want to engage in
Mhm.
sexual activity with them, or is that something that you're excited about?
Mhm.
And do you engage with sexual activity with yourself? Does that make you excited?
Mhm.
That's a whole other thing as well, right?
Mhm.
that needs to be looked at, you need to think about, because if you can become aroused on your own by yourself, but maybe not with a partner, where's the block? Where's the block there as well? So those are kind of the major components that we're going to look at to start when we're thinking about why someone libidos might have problems. But now do you want to talk about like how we can go about making it better?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very complicated topic. So let's figure that out now.
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, right? Like there's so many things that could be happening. And obviously the things that are going to make it better depend on what's wrong.
Yes.
But there are 100%, there's some basics that I get everyone to start with, just to kind of get you going again. Okay. So first thing, if at all possible, I get all the women who come to see me to sleep naked. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And even for you, does that sound something that's like a little bit like extreme? Yeah, right.
It's a bit, yeah, but that's what is required, right? To have a good sexual health, some people, everybody has to be naked. There's nothing about it, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you do need to be naked to have good sexual health, but actually sleeping naked it's not even about your partner at this point. It's honestly, it's all about you. It's one of the main things you can do to start feeling comfortable in your skin, right? So there's no mirror. You're not looking at yourself. There's no necessarily like pressure. You're in your bed, you're covered, but you're just getting used to spending time that way. Okay? You're just getting used to spending time without your clothes off. And if we think about it, like how much time do you spend in a day without your clothes off? Like this is something that you need to be comfortable with. It also completely improves your sleep. So you sleep better. It's better for your temperature regulation. It actually helps you fall asleep faster. It's better for your body detoxing because you detox a lot through your skin at night. And if you're wearing pajamas, all of that's staying on your skin surface and going right back in. Okay, so you're actually stopping that process from happening. And it improves your immune health as well. So it has a lot of really good benefits, and it's more of like a mind thing, making you feel better about your body. So like that's where I start. And I know that's like extreme. I'm like, this is where you want to be. You want to fall in love with you, right? Your number one relationship is with yourself. And then obviously like once, you're feeling better, have your partner come back in, or if don't have a partner, that's okay too, right? You're still going to feel better. And going along with that, improving your sleep will improve your libido, because your sleep is one of the things that determines your cortisol curve or your stress response. So better sleep, less stressed, less shut down in that sense. So that's a big one. Exercise as well will help. So exercise just improves circulation, it releases more endorphins, it makes you feel better. That also will make you happier to have sex, I guess. Trying to decide here. The other ones, I describe the whole female arousal cycle. Okay. Have you ever heard of the female arousal cycle?
No, not. I haven't paid too much attention to this whole topic, quite honestly. But it's really interesting, and the whole goal is actually to help out women out there who are experiencing these issues, and this is an important one, right, for your life.
Yeah, no, it honestly, I think this is a major part of life. Like this is enjoyment and joy and pleasure and all of these good things that, if you're not focusing on it, you're missing out. It gives you so many benefits. But the female arousal cycle, it's not the same. We don't have the same arousal cycle as a man, right? A man like gets an erection, they look at something, get an erection, they want to have sex, you're good to go. Females, it's funny, but it's fair. Like we don't look the same way. Like we're not not necessarily programmed that way.
Yes.
So like, we like connection and intimacy, and we have a whole different cycle that they don't portray in movies, that we don't even know that we're supposed to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about it, like our arousal starts earlier in the day. It's how you talked to your partner in the morning when you came home from work. Were they listening? Were they attentive? How much time did they pay attention to you? Did they hug you? Did they kiss you? All of these things. And then instead of just, getting into bed at night, turning the lights off and having sex and being expected to be turned on. That's not exactly how it works, right? So there are all these factors that lead up to it. And then interestingly enough, doing all of those things, we will have a release of oxytocin, which is our happy hormone, which makes us more willing to engage in sexual activity. But even then, we can become aroused once sexual activity starts. So I don't necessarily recommend starting this with a partner right away, but even starting with yourself, like through masturbation. You don't have to be turned on to masturbate. You don't. And like, if you are, that's great. But if you waited to be turned on every time that you wanted to have sex, you might not be having it that often. And you might not be having an orgasm, as frequently as you should. And an orgasm is just stress relief, immune boosting. It increases circulation to your pelvic floor. It helps regulate out your menses. Like, it's so many benefits. But if you're waiting for it and you're like, I don't know, I don't feel like it, I don't think about it, it might not happen. But once you start, the female body responds and can become turned on and engaged. And that's what I recommend. I recommend for people is to start by yourself, just to start introducing masturbation into your kind of your daily life. If every day is too much, start once a week. The more arousal and more orgasms that you have, the more your body wants them. So it's like a positive feedback loop. And so in that sense, that helps as well. That's a great way to do it. And then if you're looking for some like other things and you're like, this is very extreme, I'm not quite there yet, I don't know how I feel, I would say start with your labs, get all those hormones that I was talking about checked, figure that out, see if you have an autoimmune condition that needs to be addressed, because again, that will be inflammation in the body. Inflammation is going to be killing your sex drive. If you've identified stress as one of your causes and your cortisol is out of whack, you still need to work on some of those stress reduction techniques that we've all been talking about for the past, year at this point, and just in general, like your meditation, your yoga, your walking, your connecting with friends. And then you can also be taking some female like libido boosting herbs that have been traditionally used. And that would be like shatavari and maca. Those have been traditionally used, and they are quite good for giving you a little bit of a extra boost in that area.
Yeah, I think this is really helpful information. Any questions anyone has, you're welcome. Don't feel shy. You're welcome to ask these questions. Yeah. No, I think the shatavari and maca, there's a lot of research out there too. It's an Ayurvedic herb that's been used for many, many years, thousands of years for that matter, for women's health. And to your point, a lot of it is hormonal imbalance, right? And hormonal imbalance affects everything in our bodies. And that's also, the low libido or low sexual drive is related to hormone imbalance. Yeah?
Yeah. There's definitely hormonal imbalance. It would be like a root cause, right? Maca and shatavari, like they're not addressing a root cause. They're going to help you, but you're always going to need them. Yeah. So some of those other things that I was talking about, like that will help you kind of get a little bit more to the root cause of just feeling better. But, while you're on that journey, there are things that you can just take to, help you along basically.
Well, thank you so much. Very very informative and interesting session, I must say that. But an important session, very, very important session for all the women out there.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So for everyone who's watching, feel free to ask us questions. This is a sensitive topic. You don't feel shy about it. But we bring all kind of topics every single day. And we are launching programs as well, very affordable, accessible programs from experts from all over the world. And this is a program we are also going to launch on female sexual health. I feel it's a very important program that we should not feel shy about it. Right, Dr. Erin? Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I talk about all the time. So I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Erin, for your amazing knowledge. And thank you every single person out there who support us on a daily basis. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.